Hey, good evening, everyone. This is Jim Howard and Wendy Howard with Trans Security Allies. We're going to get ready here in a minute and get started with the webinar. I want to thank you for coming out tonight. This is going to be our second of a series, Getting Ready for Christmas. We found some things that happened this last week that we think are important, and we kind of want to get them out there. So we're going to get started here in a minute. I've got going to try to let everybody get on that wants to get on, and then we're going to get started. All right, we're going to get ready here to get started in a few minutes. We just want to let everybody get online, and then we'll get it started. Thanks for coming out tonight. We're going to talk about getting ready for Christmas again. It's that time of year. I think somebody said it's less than 23 days till Christmas. But of course, a lot of us are going to be having our services on Christmas Eve and what we call Christmas Adam, which is the 23rd. So between the 23rd and the 24th at our church, we're going to have at least 7 different services. So we need to be ready and we need to be prepared. And we're going to talk about some of the things that we're seeing out here around the country and things that are of concern. So we're about ready to get started. So let's do it. This is Jim Howard. My wife, Wendy, is working with me. If you have something you want to talk about, please type in the chat and she will be watching those and monitoring those. And later on, we will open it up to where we can talk about some of your questions that you may have right now. Now, one of the things that we've kind of noticed is that we see the sign of the times. I mean, we truly do. COVID-19 has come and has just, when we thought we were getting through it and we thought we were seeing a slowdown, we were seeing it kind of leveling out, which is what they were looking for, we saw it peak again. So because of that peak, there's been other issues again that have been brought back up to the churches. Some states that we're looking at have started to close back. The churches have started to close back down. We're going to talk about some of those that we've been reading the news articles on it and what is happening. And we just feel like that this is something that we need to be really careful about. We've done the social distancing. We did last week, we talked about that I contacted the faith-based security network and kind of asked them how churches across the country were handling this. We work with churches in Polk County, Pasco County, one of the churches in Polk County. Went through a long list of things that they're doing to protect their people inside the church with the pandemic that's out here. Of course, some of the other things that we've been seeing out here is the civil unrest, and it's just going to continue. We feel that no matter what the outcome of the election is, there's going to be all this type of just people doing destructive things, coming into a town near you and doing riots or what they might call peaceful protest. But we kind of know what happens with those peaceful protests. We've been watching a lot of video lately trying to educate us, Trinity Security Allies, on what is happening out here. And watching one video the other day, I saw them list the city of St. Pete as one of the cities that is targeted and one of the cities that Antifa is located at. So even close to home to where we're at, we still see it. Now, we do live in Florida, and our governor has stepped up and has made any type of rioting a more serious crime, so with higher penalties. So we are fortunate that we live in this state, but it doesn't, we're not immune from what could happen tomorrow. On our Google alerts that we get every day, we're still seeing an increase churches being attacked. We'll get into a couple of those. But the first thing that we're going to kind of talk about is we're going to talk about where we had a church that was cited, a Pasadena, Maryland church was cited recently after the pastor, who was alone in his building, answered the door for a health official. He was cited because he was not wearing a mask when he opened the door. Now, this guy was unannounced. He just showed up. And the reason why he showed up was that they had received a complaint that people inside their church was high-fiving each other, hugging each other, shaking hands, and not doing the social distancing. Well, of course, when you saw the video from the church, which they showed, you could see that they were doing everything that they were supposed to be doing. But after issuing the citation, the Anne Arundel County Department of Health official told the Reverend Dennis Jackman that he would return, and if Community United Methodist Church in Pasadena was not in full compliance with the COVID-19 guidelines, that the church would be deemed as an unsafe facility and closed until the state of emergency had been terminated. Are you listening to this? A county health official walks into a church unannounced, catches the pastor not wearing his mask. He's in the church by himself. He issues him a citation and then turns around and threatens him that if he comes back and they're not following CDC guidelines, that they're going to close them down as an unsafe facility until the state of emergency has been terminated. Now, I don't even know how to read this. I really don't. I mean, we're talking Maryland here. You know, we're not talking California. We're not talking New York. The citation went on and warned of criminal charges and imprisonment up to 1 year and or a fine of up to $5,000. The church has done everything it possibly can to ensure the safety of its worshipers, but yet this county official walks in and makes himself kind of, I don't know, a dictator and tells them what to do. And here's a little, here's just a little bit of the irony of this whole thing. The Maryland governor, Larry Hogan, has ordered the early release of inmates while unleashing health departments to threaten the closure of churches, citing COVID health concerns. But yet we're going to let the prisoners out that are in jail because we don't want to have an outbreak inside the jail. But yet the churches who are following what they're supposed to be doing, we're prosecuting them. This doesn't make sense, folks. This doesn't make sense at all. So this is one of the things that you need to be careful about. You don't know who may be coming into your church. To come into the church and say that they're high-fiving, giving each other knuckle bumps, handshakes, hugs. Really, folks, we're going to go after people like this? This is just unbelievable. This is unbelievable. But threatened to shut him down as an unsafe facility. But that's just one of the things that's been going on. Now, this video right here is from YouTube and a local ABC affiliate. This is in Missouri, Callaway County. This was a church that's was formed by slaves back in the 1800s that was demolished. Now, they have made an arrest. You know, at first they said they thought it was a hate crime. The kids are 14 to 16 years old, and at this point in time, there's nothing about it being a hate crime. But this is what we're talking about when we tell you that the vandalism that is going on inside these churches are not like the old days where a window was knocked out or spray paint or something like that. They are going in here and destroying these churches. This is just sad. This is terribly sad. And the thing of it is we don't know if it was hate crime. It doesn't really matter. It is hate crime. It is a hate crime. No matter whether or not this is a predominantly black church. Let's make sure that we're clear here on this. But it doesn't matter. When you have situations like this is a hate crime. Now, the pastor said the damages will cost somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000 to repair. That's not a great Christmas present there, though. But we do know who our Lord and Savior is, and they do have a good attitude. And I just commend them for the way that they've responded to this, even though it broke their hearts when they walked in and saw what had happened to their church, which it would anybody. So we need to make sure that our facilities are locked down, that, if you can afford it to have camera systems, have them in place so that you can protect your church, especially going after these people and prosecuting. But this is what we're talking about that we're seeing out here, and it is really very scary. Now, another church that we saw in Los Angeles, that in Baldwin Park, acts of vandalism were going on around the different churches. And this church right here in Baldwin Park, the damage was so extensive that they were not able to share the food bank that they had. They were not able to get it out to the people because it was contaminated because of the vandalism. So not only do you hurt the church, but also the people that they're serving. So it's one of these things that, it just keeps going on like this. And we need to make sure that we're doing our due diligence and protecting our churches. It does not matter your size. It truly does not. We've seen it all the way from, John MacArthur's church or Bellevue Baptist. Any of these things can happen, and we need to make sure that we're paying attention to people that might be checking our churches out, taking pictures of them, looking around, walking around at nighttime. Camera systems are really good to help out. But like I said, not only do they hurt the church by the vandalisms, but they're also hurting the ones that the church are supporting. This food was lost. This food was lost. And when we talk about that during the Thanksgiving time, we saw longer lines than normal at the food banks for Thanksgiving. This is just heartbreaking that we're seeing these type of long lines of cars and people that are hurting because of the COVID-19 and losing jobs and losing pay and the different things that we've been observing. So we really have to understand that there are a lot of hurting people out there. And this Christmas season, I really feel that we're going to see a large group of people inside the churches. And we have to be careful about what is going on. Now, I'm going to tell you about two separate incidents that happened at our church. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about something that happened back in December of 2019. But we are going to have homeless show up at our churches. They are. We've already had people panhandling at our church, outside, not inside, but standing outside with a sign that says, hungry, need money for food. We feel terrible for that. But like here in Virginia, one of the things that we normally do is we tell people, listen, Metropolitan Ministries will be more than happy to help you out. But a lot of times they'll tell us that Metropolitan Ministry won't help me because I'm this or I'm that. Normally, when you hear something like that, that's a red flag. That means that that person has already been there or caused trouble or just doesn't want to help from one of your local organizations. So you have to be careful and listen to what they're talking about when they say things like that. Now, of course, if somebody comes into your church with a disguise on, like we saw in the West Freeway Church of Christ, folks, you got to get local law enforcement in there. You got to get your safety team needs to be on top of this person. You really need to go talk to this person, because when these incidents happen, this person is a good possibility of being a threat, or something is not right there. Something is completely not right. And if it makes you feel uncomfortable, then you need to go speak to this person. We had a breakdown, and I'm going to talk about this again. I think I talked about it last week. We had a breakdown in communication. We have a lot of new people in our churches. It's very important that we start doing some of the training again. We used to have in-service training when we were with the police department. It was every 2 years you had to be recertified. We need to be doing the same thing inside our churches, of redoing our safety training, even though we might have done it the year before, we might have done it 6 months before. But we really need to be sitting down and talking about what to look for and what to start thinking about, because this situation that we had the other day, where a guy walked in and touched one of our greeters and told her at that moment in time he had COVID-19 and now he had given it to her. That's not a joke. That's not a joke. And somebody should have been notified, and we should have went and talked to this guy. We didn't know about it until after the services started. And this guy was already in the worship center up in the front row, next to the pastor. This was just a breakdown of communication. He went into the children's ministry. He made people upset, nervous. And they just said, oh, he's just an unhappy parent. We have these people all the time. No, we're not. Let's make sure that we're paying attention to who is unhappy. Why are they unhappy? Is there something that we can do or something that we can help them with? But we cannot allow this to continue. We have to start protecting the people that are coming into our church, that are coming into worship. We have to start watching for these wolves in sheep clothing, and we need to make sure that we're doing something about it. I'm going to give you an example of one that you may look at this picture and think nothing of it. This last Sunday, we had a guy that came into our church that was wearing doctor scrubs and plus had on a doctor coat, one of the white coats over him. He was wearing his mask. He had a baseball cap. He walked over to our information desk, what we call next steps, and he started talking to the girl that was at the desk. And I just stood there and watched this guy. Now, listen, I'm not really for sure. I mean, unless they got off night shift, and listen, any doctor friends I have out here or nurses or something like that, I don't see them coming in scrubs. And I know a lot of doctors, that work midnights. A lot of times they go home and go to bed, but this guy showed up in scrubs and one of those house coats, those white coats. And he walked up to the counter, the next step, or our information counter, and started talking to the young girl there. So when he got finished, I walked over to her and I said, hey, what was that about? And she goes, oh, nothing. He was just interested in our church. He said he went to a big church. He was at this big church, and he was down here now and had heard about our church, and he showed up. And so I asked her, I said, let me ask you a question. Did he ask about single people? And she stopped and looked at me and said, how did you know? He asked about, did we have a singles group? And I explained to him that we had the prime time. Now, what prime time normally means is 55 and above. This guy was in his 70s. There's no doubt in my mind. But he kind of stopped her at that moment in time and said, well, I teach millennials on the Bible. What is he telling me right now? He's not interested in prime time. And it really is kind of one of these things where it catches me a little off guard that a person that's never been to our church, visiting our church, and one of the first things that he asked for, do you have a singles group? That's a little suspicious to me. And then to talk about only teaching millennials. So what he's telling me is that people his age, he's really not interested in. Then later on in the afternoon, he told everybody, he showed back up at church. We had the lighting of Trinity where we turn on our Christmas lights around the church property. He came back and he said that he was a psychiatrist. Now he's wearing the same clothes. Even my pastor came to me and said, you know what? I did at least go home and change clothes. This guy didn't change clothes. But why is he wearing the doctor's outfit? Because you're going to think of him at a different level. Oh, he's a doctor. Oh, he's cool. I don't think he is. Now, I didn't talk to him. I kind of wanted to let other people talk to him. I was watching for him to see what he might do around single ladies and things like that. He didn't give me anything to really go and talk to him, because the first time I'm going to talk to him, I'm going to get down into what type of doctor he really is. I'm going to start asking personal questions. And I really want to be careful with this, and I'll explain to you why. But it's just one of these things that let them kind of, unless they are a threat, observe them, gather information on them. He went and told somebody that he was a psychiatrist, and that he worked with domestic violence victims. Now, what does that tell me? He's looking for women with low self-esteem. He's looking for ladies that have been in an abusive relationship before. He's looking for people who have felt like they were victims, and now he's going to prey on that. I'm telling you right now, that's exactly what was going on with this guy. Now, y'all may think that I'm just being too hard on this guy because, hey, maybe he's a lonely guy and he is looking for somebody. That's not the way you handle it. That's not the way you do it. God does not tell you to go into a church and ask for a singles group. God does not tell you to go into a church and really kind of brag about who you are. When you visit a church for the first time, go visit the church. Don't give them your list of your resume right there. so that they kind of go, oh, we really need to have him in the church. That's not really what it's about. That's truly not what it's about. So the next time, if he comes, which I don't know that he will, I think he really realized that we were watching him. But if he comes and he comes back in his doctor's clothes again, we're definitely going to have a talk. But here's the point I want to make. When he asked for the singles group, and I asked the girl behind the counter, I said, did he ask about single people? And she looked at me and like, how did you know? This is a training thing. This is a training thing. This is one of these type of things that we should be telling our staff, those that we work with, those that are volunteers, on what to start listening for when somebody new walks into your church. Somebody new walks into your church and goes up to the next step to find out what is going on in your church, the information table. They need to be listening to these things because, like I said, there was two things that happened right there. He talked about looking for a singles group, and he talked about working only with millennials. So that right there was two things that I thought that we need to pay more attention to. Now, you may call me paranoid. That's fine. I really don't. I have no problem with that at all. But God gave me the gift of discernment, and that right there was something that made me feel uncomfortable. Now, I'm going to show you another picture, and you're going to kind of look at me and go, what's wrong with this picture? As soon as it comes up for us. Why do you think I'm going to put something like this in a training, in a safety training? Because here's the thing. Your Christmas services, people are going to be coming from shopping, and their cars are going to be loaded with gifts. And so you need to make sure that you got somebody out in your parking lot driving around watching for people that know these things. If you're a large church and you have a lot of cars and a lot of territory to cover, you're probably going to see people in there. We just had a kid that rode through our church the other day with our high school students there and our middle school students there and drove right through it on a moped. Now, as soon as we find out who that is, we're going to put a stop to that. But you don't think they're going to be coming back to your church and looking for vehicles like this that are loaded up with Christmas gifts? It happens all the time. It happens all the time. And I will tell you another thing too. Let me just say this for those that are going to be out here shopping. If you go out shopping for Christmas gifts or go out shopping for anything, really, it's just not for Christmas. Let's make it for anything. If you go out and go shopping during this time frame, what you really need to do is make sure that if you drop your packages off and you're going to go back inside and shop some more, move your vehicle because people are out there watching you. And if they see you load up your car with gifts or items and you walk away, they're going to come and hit your car. A really good friend of mine, a police officer I worked with in the town of Bel Air, went and bought an iPad, put it in his car, went to have dinner with his family. And when he came back out to his car, the iPad was gone and his back window was knocked out. And he blames himself because he knows that he should have moved his vehicle. Once you start putting gifts into your vehicle, move that car. Have a rover out there during this Christmas season because we don't want a situation that happens like we did in Texas last year during this time frame. It was December the 29th. We have to remember that these things can happen at any time. We want to make sure that we're paying attention to what's happening, who's coming in and who's going, and being out there riding around in the parking lots, especially at nighttime. Especially at nighttime, make sure that you have rovers out there that are watching what is happening in your church parking lot. Now, these type of people, like I said, we need to make sure. And I'm going to say one more thing about the packages. Do you know how many people leave their cars unlocked? We see it all the time. We walk around and see cars unlocked with their cell phones inside, the computer sitting on the seat, the passenger seat, or in the back seat. We see it all the time. So these people are thinking that when they're at church, what is it? Their anchor spot. When they're at church, that everything is okay. God is watching over us. So I'm just going to leave my car unlocked, or they forget to lock it. That happens all the time. So when you see these vehicles, make sure that you make a mental note if they're unlocked and watch them. Watch them when they come back out. We see people leave their pocketbooks in the church worship center in their seats. I always am chasing people around saying, whose purse is this? Because I could have easily went into it. It opens it up for the possibility of somebody taking it especially people who are hurting right now, or people, it's just an opportunity. So, what are we going to do here? This is what we're going to do. I'm going to show you this slide over and over and over again because I want you to start thinking about it. Start planning now by getting the dates out. We have our dates out and times out. We're asking the guys to fill out the information, guys and gals. Meet with the staff and the leadership of the church. Our golf cart is down right now. And I went to our leadership and I said, I have to have a golf cart for our Christmas services. I have to. I have to be able to have our guys mobile so they can get around and be able to cover the territory that we're talking about out here. We need, if you have something that you need right now, get it out there, get it to them, because they need to be able to assist you and get you the proper equipment that you need to be able to help out on the Christmas services and protect the flock. Train your volunteers and your staff. I can't say this enough. We have new staff. We have new volunteers. We've been picking up people left and right that are just now coming to the churches because they want to be in there. They watched us online. Now they want to be in the church. So we have all sorts of new people that are volunteering and new staff members that we need to train. So this is very important. If you can find a time between now and Christmas to talk about some of the things that we're seeing, some of the things that we're talking about, you need to get out there and educate them. Just like I educated this girl the other week. When people start to say things like that, you need to pay more attention to it because they're telling you something and you don't even realize it yet. They're telling you that, like I said, this guy, we've had it happen in our church before. Elderly men coming into church looking for women that have been abused or hurt, or their husbands have passed away, all sorts of things there. You know, you think, oh, that's just harmless. No, it's not. It's not harmless. They may take advantage of these people. They may steal from these people. We want to make sure that they are protected. Network with your other churches and always include your local law enforcement. Can't talk about this enough, networking. I've got this guy that came into our church that is from another church I'm trying to get in touch with. I really want to talk to them because he said that he used to be a greeter at that church. I want to find out if he was. If he is, I want to know why he's not there anymore. Did he have an argument with the church? Did the church ask him to leave? What is the reason why he's not at that church anymore? I tell people all the time that come to me and say, hey, I'm leaving the church. Has God told you to leave the church? Well, no, I just don't want to be here anymore. That doesn't make any sense to me. Something's not right. You know, there's an issue here and you're wanting to leave the church. So tell me what that issue is. Tell me what's going on here. But network, we need to get this information out. And just real quick with this picture here, that's Alan Wilkett. And the next church safety networking meetings that we're going to be doing, Alan's going to be working with us, and he's the expert on human trafficking, which is coming to your church right now. Always try to include your local law enforcement. Man, get them into your church. Get them into your church. Bring them in during this time frame. Show them how much you care for them. Show them how much you appreciate them. Bring them in. And listen, you know, we give our staff gifts. You know, they give you this little, you know, coffee cup or something like that, whatever it may be. Give one to them. Give one to them. You know, just show them how much you appreciate what they do every day. They're going to be out here during this time frame working. And unless you've ever worked at Christmas, trust me, it can sometimes be the most bizarre day. You think it would be the easiest day in the whole wide world. But there's a lot of people out here that get really upset when they don't get what they thought they were going to get for Christmas. And sometimes it goes the wrong way. And I can tell you stories about Christmases that I worked that it was not a good night. It was not a good night. There was no goodwill toward men during that time frame. So get your local law enforcement on campus if you can, invite them in. And if you're giving a gift away, add one to them. Give them one, a coffee cup or something like that. They appreciate it. They may not take it from you. They may not. They may tell you that they can't. But at least you show them you appreciate them. And then after you get finished telling them how much you appreciate for them, ask them if there's something you can pray for them. If there anything in their life that they need prayer for, ask them. You would be surprised at what you hear sometimes. I started doing that. I had three deputies out of four, 3 out of 4 tell me, pray that I get home tonight safely. That's scary. That's scary. but we need to make sure that we support our law enforcement out here. Okay. Told you we'd be out here for about like 30 minutes. That's where we ran into Wendy. We got any people wanting any questions?
We do not have any questions. Does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask? Go ahead and put it in the Q&A. I don't see anything.
I'm sorry.
There's no questions.
Okay. All right. I'm going to run through my commercials real quick. This is things that we really need you to pay attention to. And I want you to stick around. Please, please, please. Nobody leave. Nobody leave. Because I do want to talk about something that we just found out about. And I really want you to stick around. Please, please do that. All right. Our book, we're in the final editing of it. We're really excited about it. We're looking at, we were hoping for the end of December. It probably won't be that. It will probably be January before we get it out, but you can receive a paperback copy of God's Unseen Plan for $25 donation. You do a $25 donation to our ministry. It has been a great year. We just want to continue on, but we need your support on this. If you give us a $30 donation, then we'll give you a hardcover book. So just to let you know, we're getting into the final stages. We're working on the back copy and all those things like that. Okay. This December the 12th, if everything goes, we're going to be in Norfolk, Virginia. We're going to be at the Coastal Virginia Church, 301 South Newtown Road. Anybody that's out there that is in that area, please, please, please contact your churches and tell them this is a free event. We're going to be there from 9:00 a.m. to 12 o'clock Sunday morning, what to look for. So please, if you know people up in that area, Tidewater area, there's 7 cities there. Get them to come out to Coastal Virginia Church, 301 South Newtown Road in Norfolk, Virginia. And hopefully we'll see a lot of people there. We have our Facebook Live that we're still doing Sunday nights at 8 o'clock. We talk about all the different things that we're noticing. It's not really doing a lot of training. It's more along the lines of just what we're seeing around the country and what we're seeing around the churches and incidents that are happening. We talk about a lot of stuff that is just going on that we feel like Christians should be talking about. And it's one of those type of things. If you see something that you feel like we should be talking about, let us know because we'd love to do it. We do have our free resources out there. We have putting together a safety plan, developing a safety team, carrying weapons in church, Sunday morning, what to look for. Go to our webpage. You can download these PDFs. They're free. All we ask is who you are. So reach out. If you're starting to put together a safety team, this is really easy on how to get together. A biblical approach to church safety. All these, we talk about everything out there. Okay. Black Friday. It's now Black Thursday. We're doing 55% off of our membership. If you subscribe by Friday, that's only tomorrow, by 11:59 p.m., it's $11.25 a month permanently for the rest. Now, what that does is it gives you access to live online training. It also gives you online training library to watch at your convenience and share with your team. It also Zoom member meetings, because we're going to start doing that in 2021. We're going to have nothing but where members are online that can come to a Zoom meeting. We'll send you out the Zoom link so we can talk about issues and things like that you're having at your churches. And it also gives you one ticket to our annual church safety conference, and that's a $75 value. December the 5th, you might talk to Wendy. She might be, give you a little more time, but I don't know, maybe not. Anyway, other ways that you can support us: prayer, membership for your churches, $125 a month. Or if you know somebody that is looking for a 501c3 to fund, to help, we would be more than happy to talk to them. We told you before that 90% of the churches across the country are under 500. We want to be able to go to them and give them training without them having to put a financial burden on them. We do the training, and we also are always looking for donations. We have our YouTube page out there. This will be out on the YouTube, but we also have a paid portion of that. And you need to contact us in reference to that. If you take up our Black Thursday, you will get that as a part. You'll get that online YouTube where you can see some of the other trainings that we've done before, and it'll help you out. Now, I want to talk to you about something that we've just started. Kevin Haggerty, I know I've had him on here. He's a safety team leader with another church. We've become really good friends, but we kind of sit around and we've been talking about this for some time about getting out here and doing a podcast where I can take off my 501c3 hat. I can do something completely, say what I want to say, but it's the world through a Christian lens. We've been talking about the election. We've been talking about things that the Pope has said. We've been talking about all sorts of stuff out here that Christians today need to be paying attention to. Brothers and sisters, we are in a David and Goliath moment. There are people out here that would love nothing less than to shut down the churches. And we need to make sure that we're standing up to them. So these are out here. We're also going to have them on YouTube so that you can go out and catch them later. But True Christian Talk, me and Kevin Haggerty, we spend an hour talking about issues and things that are going on around the country. And we'd love for you to come out, support us. All you got to do is subscribe to this. We'd really like you to subscribe to it because it does help us in the long time. But it's True Christian Talk, the world through a Christian lens. Also want to talk about the Faith-Based Security Network, which is in 43 states, and I think they have 530 some odd members. I have my number somewhere, but this is a great organization to take a look at. This is Carl Chin and his group. He set this up. There's a lot of information that I get from them. You can ask on things like I did. I asked about what are you doing about the COVID-19 and your, your Christmas church, your church services. So these are the type of things that we go to them and we talk to them, and it is a good network. All right. This is what I wanted you to stick around for. We just found out this week on Tuesday, a really good friend of the ministry, just a great all-around guy, passed away from COVID-19 issues. Ron Mark was one of these guys that the first time I saw him, I said, this is a true mountain man. This is truly a good mountain man. This picture right here was when we had the laser shot come in and we were doing the church safety scenarios. And Ron was good enough to act out on one of them and did a fantastic job. He was always at our trainings. In fact, he was just at our last training back at the 1st of December. Ron is going to be greatly missed. He was a great guy, had a huge heart. And I just can't say enough nice things about him. We will miss him, but we know where he's at. Kevin, who is behind him here, and I kind of had a little bit of a chat. And he was telling about right before Ron got sick that he and Ron had talked about their faith. And they knew where they were going and that everything was going to be, they just had trust in the Lord. So Ron will be missed. Please say a prayer for the families because it's going to be a difficult Christmas this year for them to lose such a great guy like Ron. He's an incredible person. He will be missed, but I know that one day I will get to see him again and we will celebrate the afterlife. We really will. Thank you for coming out tonight. If there's nothing else, Wendy, do we have anything? I think you muted yourself, babe.
Sorry, I was responding to John Jacobson. He said I was very sad about Ron.
Yes, it really was. I mean, Ron, we had just seen him. We couldn't believe it. In fact, Wendy had been talking to him a couple of days prior before he got sick.
November 7th is when our training was, and that's so he passed away on Monday, November. So we got sick right after that training.
So if we don't have anything else, we'll talk to you next week. We are going to plan on doing another one. We will talk. I say that. Hang on a second. Are we out of town?
Yes, we're going to actually be in Norfolk, Virginia.
Okay, so we will not be out here next week, but I want to do one more on the 17th. So be looking for it. And if you have any suggestions or anything that you would like to talk about before Christmas, please reach out to us.
And I will send links to everything. Jim Hinkle just says that, thank you, my blessings.
All right. Well, if we don't have anything else, people, be safe out there. Be blessed. Know that our Lord is alive and well. Let's remember what the season is all about, and that is about his birth. Because without his birth, we would not have what we have now, and that is his love, the forgiveness that we can, so that we can talk to the Father. He has paid for our sins. So let's enjoy the season, enjoy the family. Just be careful, be protective, do the right things so that you don't get sick. We don't want to lose another
Jim,
person.
hold on for just 1 second. John Jacobson would like to say something. John, go ahead and type what you want to say. Just give him just a second.
Okay.
I'm not seeing anything come back up. He asked if he could say something.
I don't think I can get him online.
Can you try to make him a panelist? John, if you give us just a second, we'll try to make you a panelist.
No, let me see some. I can't do it.
John, if you can hear me, go ahead and I can, if you email me your message, what I'll do is I'll put it in the follow-up email that goes out to the group. If you could do that for me, that would be great. He said, okay, so I'll put that email in the follow-up email, or his message in the follow-up email.
Once again, folks, we need to be paying attention to what's happening around this country. We really do. Because no matter which way this goes, it's just going to be a strange time. The Georgia election that's coming up is so important. I don't think you can understand how important it is. For when we're talking about that, please go to the True Christian Talk and kind of see the things that we're seeing and the things that we're pointing out, because we need to be prepared for whatever happens. Now, we don't have time to go into it, but I just want you to be safe out there right now. Be smart about your surroundings. Make sure that you're continuously doing situational awareness and know where you're at, your family's at. If you hear something happen in your neighborhood that is dangerous, don't go there. If you hear something that's happening in your town, don't go there. Protect your flock, protect your family. God bless you. God bless this country. And we'll talk to you soon. Good night. You may be interrupting me right now.